What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the archives. Today we're back in Charleston, West Virginia at the Ruffner cabin. Make sure you stick around to the end because we're also going to be going to the West Virginia State Museum, the Veterans Memorial, and the new Gorge Bridge. Hit that subscribe button, let me know your favorite part in the comments, and let's get a tour. In 1795, Joseph Ruffner, son of Swiss immigrants, saw land along the riverbank in Virginia and fell in love. He purchased over 1,000 acres and built this log house onto it to serve as a sawmill and office for his business. In the 1820s, the hand-powered sawmill was no longer needed, and Joseph's grandson, Joel Ruffner, moved into the log cabin with his new wife. They renovated the cabin in the 1820s and 30s to add more rooms and cover with siding, where the family would raise 12 children in the house. They called their new renovated home Rosedale.
And we believe that construction would have started on this around 1796. I've seen some numbers indicating that it may have been 1805. In the 1820s, it was converted into a more stately house. This is a 1947 illustration of what it became. It was then Rosedale Estate. When the colonial dames were deciding which home they were going to restore, they were actually looking at both the Craig Patton House, or Elm Grove, and Rosedale Estate. They went with Craig Patton, but a few civic organizations would partner together to rescue the logs because Rosedale was torn down. This gives you a good idea of what that colonial period would have looked like. If it's true that this construction on this structure began around 1796, that would mean that Daniel Boone was still here in this area. He wouldn't leave Kanawha County officially until 1798, and that's one of the reasons why this area here is called Daniel Boone Park. Yeah. He would represent us in the Virginia Assembly. And then speaking of like large families, when this was converted to Rosedale Estate, Joel Ruffner would end up living here with his wife and 12 kids.
So where did this originally stand?
So it would have been just along the riverbank, and if you just continue down the boulevard to Ruffner Memorial Park, it would have been located just next to that.
Yeah.
When it was Rosedale Estate and had those 12 kids living here, it was abandoned during that fall 1862 Kanawha Valley campaign. One of Charleston's early historians, Mr. de Gruyter, described a tale about the house and how it was just a large white house sitting along the river. So when Confederate forces swept into the area and were firing artillery and rifles at it, this would end up becoming a target because it was serving as Union headquarters. He's like, I wouldn't be surprised if you found musket balls in the walls. And I believe that there was a cannonball found in one of the logs of the second story. It wasn't the only house to get hit by artillery during the Battle of Charleston. And if you visit the McFarland Hubbard House, it's home to the West Virginia Humanities Council. They have a cannonball on display they dug out of their house's walls. Not only is this like a good idea, or gives you a good idea of what homes would look like in the early period, but it also gives you an idea of what block forts would have looked like. Dotted throughout the Kanawha Valley were a number of block forts, and it would just be the largest cabin in a little village where the village could hold up in the event that, say, a raiding party had come through or anything like that, led primarily by Native Americans in the Ohio region, while this was a very contested area. Daniel Boone first came to the area as a scout for the Virginia militia. Part of his job was making sure that all of these block forts were in good working order. When this was originally built, it would all have been hand-hewn. The Ruffners, though, not only developed the salt industry by bringing in the spring pole method of drilling and boring the first drilled hole in North America in 1807, they would also open and operate the first coal mine in 1817, just across the river. And by the 1820s, they'd bring the first steam-powered sawmill into the area. So they were busybodies.
Then, after we left the Ruffner cabin and the Craig Patton house, Nathan led us to explore more into the history of West Virginia. He sent us to the West Virginia State Museum, and while walking in, we noticed a Veterans Memorial in the front, and here's what it looked like. The West Virginia Veterans Memorial is a two-story oval-shaped monument honoring more than 10,000 West Virginians who made the ultimate sacrifice in defending the nation in its 20th century conflicts. And around the edges includes 4 statues of World War I, World War II Navy sailor, Korean conflict Air Force aviator, and a Vietnam Marine Corps statue. Once we wrapped up with the Veterans Memorial, we made our way inside the State Museum. The museum itself is awesome. We really weren't expecting it to be so immersive. Between the story being told for every year you walk through over the speaker to the sounds surrounding you, it felt like you were truly there. I highly recommend this museum if you are ever in the area. You could honestly spend all day inside. Here is a little bit of footage I took while inside, and this doesn't even put a dent on what all is in there. While in the museum, we noticed this bridge and realized it wasn't too far of a drive, so we headed on over to New River Gorge Bridge to see it in person. It was completed on October 22, 1977. The bridge reduced a 40-minute drive down narrow mountain roads and across one of North America's oldest rivers to less than a minute. It's the longest steel span in the Western Hemisphere and the 3rd highest in the United States. In October, they even have Bridge Day, where it is open to pedestrians in a wide variety of activities. For great views, food, craft vendors, base jumping, rappelling, music, and more. It actually draws thousands of people. Bridge Day is West Virginia's largest one-day festival and is the largest extreme sport event in the world. That's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Charleston, West Virginia has so much history to offer. So thank you, Nathan Jones, and we'll see you on the next episode.